Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
It's time for Tip-Off Tuesday.
There's no magic formula.
Eric Williams, three, good at the shot clock buzzer. Young all the way to the basket with two hands.
We're going to have to get ready for everything.
Ducks get it to Richardson. His three is good.
And one of the things that I'm really proud of next game attitude.
Sedona Prince follows, scores, and is fouled. Harry steps into a long three and hits it. Solidly lay it in. Ducks take the lead.
Down the stretch, we made the plays, and that's what a good team's got to do.
This is Tip-Off Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Let's talk Oregon Ducks basketball. From the Country Financial Studio, alongside Terry Jonz, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you, and it is our first Tip-Off Tuesday basketball coaches show of the year. It's a great day. Terry Jonz here. I'm Joey Mack. Scott Phillips running it. Mitchell Lee back in the OSN studio. We've got a lot to get to. If you're live with us in the 2:30 to 3:30 slot, this is when we will do the show live every Tuesday during basketball season. Now, of course, with postponements, we don't know. Maybe there will end up being a game on a Tuesday.
There might be.
There might be. We don't know.
It is crazy.
Yeah, we will keep you up to date. So if you missed the news, Oregon men's basketball was supposed to play Monday night in a game that was originally supposed to be played on the 30th of December. That game has now been postponed. COVID protocol within the Oregon program. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to talk with Dana Altman about that coming up, the way that his team's handling it now and getting ready for a game that is still, as we are live at 2:31 Pacific time, a game still scheduled for Saturday in Corvallis against Oregon State. Now, meanwhile, the Oregon women just went through it, and they were able to get another opponent this past weekend.
Yeah, played Carroll College, NAIA team that ranked 5th in the NAIA division. Very good, just weren't as tall. The Oregon size dominated, but got a good workout. Tahina Pow back, first time since, she tried it for 3 minutes against Dixie, I think it was, back on November 14th, and now gets back out there and look. Like 12 minutes, she looked great.
Yeah.
Although she was gassed. I asked her at halftime. I saw her over there. I said, hey, you look pretty good, T. And she's like, I'm tired. She hadn't done full court. Endyia Rogers, who we'll hear from here in a little bit on the show, had a good interview with her. She looks great coming back. Of course, her conditioning was a little advanced because it was a broken hand, so she could still run. And then the Arasabali is back. Had her on the post-game show after the win. But Stanford and Cal coming up this weekend, and Friday night at Stanford. Good they got that in before. You don't want to go down after you haven't played since December 18th. It would have been 3 weeks since you last played, and you get to play number 2 on their floor.
Not bad.
Yeah,
not a big deal. 7-4, the record for the Oregon women. Still waiting for their first conference game. It will be against Stanford, with Utah and Colorado not being able to come to town. And then the Oregon men sitting at 1-2 in conference, 8-6 overall. So I think for both of these programs, Terry, our first show of the year, it's the new year. We get a chance to kind of reset. I feel like this is two programs that have a lot of potential still to be realized.
Yes.
Some due to attrition, but I think at least on the men's side, some of it is they're just waiting to gel and find that chemistry. I think both programs, there's a lot of potential still in front of them.
Yeah, the women, it's the injuries, to Niara Sabali, to Endyia Rogers, and Tahina Pow. The big three, I mean, all Pac-12 performers, each of them a year ago. And you could see on Sunday against Carroll just the flashes here and there of that going, they're healthy and they get their minutes back. They're a really good team that we expected.
Well, he's Terry Jonz. I'm Joey Macca. We're going to get a timeout to come back. Going to hear from Dana Altman. Going to hear from Kelly Graves. Also going to put that spotlight on Endyia Rogers. Looking forward to it. It's Tip-Off Tuesday, the first basketball coaches show of the season. Back to the Country Financial Studio, talking with Dana Altman next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Toyotathon is on at your local Toyota dealer. Treat yourself to great deals on the sleek first ever 2022 Corolla Cross or the powerful all-new 2022 Tundra. It's all happening right now during Toyotathon. Toyota, let's go places.
Once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has been the credit union serving the University of Oregon community. From the bright yellow Duck debit card to the Duck Visa Rewards card. If you're a Duck, you belong at OCCU, where you'll find fewer fees, higher savings rates, and lower rates on loans, and lots of fellow Duck fans. Go Ducks. Join OCCU. Learn more at myoccu.org/Go Ducks.
Toyotathon is on at your local Toyota dealer. Treat yourself to great deals on the sleek first ever 2022 Corolla Cross or the powerful all-new 2022 Tundra. It's all happening right now during Toyotathon. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Tip Off Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Tip-Off Tuesday. Joey Mack alongside Terry Jonz. Earlier today, this morning actually, I caught up with Dana Altman. Doing it on Zoom, COVID protocol for the Oregon program, and he gave us a little bit of a peek inside what's going on at Matthew Knight Arena and beyond as we catch up with Dana Altman and talk about the season so far and the unfortunate postponement last night.
Well, Coach, I wish that we were sitting here in person talking about a game last night, but unfortunately, this is the world that we're in right now. Health and safety of student-athletes and the staff are the priority. We're seeing this, unfortunately, around college basketball. Coach, how'd you guys handle it yesterday? How are you handling it with your team now?
Well, the guys were really disappointed. We only had one player who didn't feel well, and so the rest of the guys that did test were ready to go. So the guys were anxious to play. We had a lot of fun against Utah on Saturday night, and guys were looking to carry that over. So they were really disappointed. This has been, tough on everybody here the last few weeks. Our conference has really got hit hard with a lot of postponements, and now we're going to have to try to figure out how to get a bunch of games in. But, Colorado was disappointed. They hadn't played in a long time. And they were here ready to go. So very disappointing day for our players.
Coach, you mentioned just kind of the logistic challenge now of trying to figure games out. Unfortunately, you guys went through this a little bit last year. What's your approach to that as a coaching staff trying to get these games made up and the conference as a whole?
Well, the first things, we just want to get everybody back and get practicing again. We will practice this week with the guys that we have, which is an improvement from last year, which, they just kind of shut us down last year. This year, we're at least going to get to practice with the guys we got and, or that are still healthy. So we will have practice the next couple of days and then try to get the guys back as quick as possible and start rescheduling some games.
Talking about that matchup with Utah, Coach, I want to look back a little bit because I felt like that second half was a great step forward for your team. What did you think?
Well, it sure was. That was the way that, we wanted to play. I thought Jacob really got us going with his aggressiveness defensively. And, we got the ball in transition a number of times. So, we hit shots, which makes everything look better. But just this energy level, Joey, was so much better. And, the guys had fun. Still want this to be fun for the guys, and, hitting shots and playing that way, playing hard is fun. And when guys know they're playing hard and know they're moving the ball, the game's just a lot funner.
Jacob Young, you mentioned the spark that he gave you, Coach, and he was playing aggressive defense. There's no doubt about it. We talked about that a little bit post-game. Just what can he bring to the table if he's playing that level of energy on defense all the time?
Well, he's really quick, and his quickness can give people a lot of problems. And whether it's in our press or half court, from the weak side, he's got to do a little better job when his man doesn't have the ball, getting off into the ball and making some plays from the weak side. But again, his quickness, his athleticism gives him a chance to make plays. And, I thought he really showed that Saturday night.
How much does he remind you of his brother? And when you first met him, Coach, did you look at him and go, God, he's the spitting image of Joey Buckets?
Oh, I've known Jacob for 9 years when, Joe came to play for us. And, so followed Jacob in high school at Texas, at Rutgers. It's a special family. Michael and Tina have been so supportive, and, Joe stayed in contact over the years. What he did for our program was remarkable. And they're two different players. Joe's a little better scorer, but Jacob's a better defender. Don't get mad if I said that, but it's the truth. And they're two different guys, and both special in their own way. And the one thing, they're both great teammates. Joe was a really good teammate, and Jacob's a really good teammate. They're both really, really good guys to have in your program.
Will Richardson, Coach, he's the Pac-12 Player of the Week, had a career high in the win against Utah. What did you like from Will Richardson's game, and is this maybe a great building block for him the rest of the season?
Well, I hope so. The thing I was really pleased with, he really tried to lead. He knew how important this game was to get going, and he really was a good leader in practice, coming back from Christmas. And he did a great job during the game. He didn't score a bunch of points the first half, but at halftime when we were down, he was talking to the guys, trying to get them hang in there. And so his leadership, and then that positivity that he showed, carried over into his own game. And that doesn't always happen, but when you're focused like that and your head's in the game, a lot of times it works out a lot better for you also.
Coach, you mentioned post-game that one of the biggest things for him was taking pressure off of himself sometimes. How do you approach that as a coaching staff with a guy like that who maybe puts too much pressure on himself and then his game can suffer as a result?
Well, that is a problem for a lot of young men. Everybody wants to play well. Everybody wants to score. And, you just put a lot of pressure on yourself. And being your senior year, he's a perfectionist. He wants to be really good. And sometimes I think he just puts a little too much pressure on himself. And when you're like that, it just holds you back. You can't be free to play and, go out there and relax. And if you miss a few shots, not let it affect you. If things aren't going your way, not let it affect you. It kind of boils over if you're putting too much pressure on yourself.
I thought that was interesting, talking about the mental aspect for Will Richardson. Putting a little too much pressure on yourself, and sometimes your game spirals. Well, the Ducks are 6-0 when he scores 17 points or more. So I'm not saying that, score 17, that's the magic number. But so far the numbers have said score some, particularly in the second half. Will Richardson was just lights out against Utah. Quick timeout. We got more to come with Dana Altman. It is Tip-Off Tuesday. And also Kelly Graves and Endyia Rogers. Basketball Coaches Show is back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
One of Marvel's greatest and most complex characters is back. Rent Venom, Let There Be Carnage, starring Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson. Now available at Redbox. Eddie Brock, still struggling to coexist with shapeshifter Venom, is in search of his next big story. He lands an exclusive interview with death row inmate Cletus Cassidy and becomes the host for Carnage, a menacing symbiote. Eddie and Venom must get past their contentious relationship and work together to defeat Carnage. Watch Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
You're listening to Tip Off Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you is.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Alongside Terry Jonz, I'm Joey Mack back in the Country Financial Studio. Earlier today, got a chance to talk with Dana Altman via Zoom. The Ducks on a COVID pause right now, but the nice thing is it's not really a pause for everybody. As you heard him mention earlier, the Ducks can still practice with those who are healthy and who are not in protocol, which means that guys can ramp back up maybe a little bit quicker, and I think teams this season are going to be a little bit more ready coming out of a postponement than maybe they were last year. At least that's what I'm going to keep telling myself anyway. So right now, as we're live on Tuesday afternoon, the Ducks still getting ready to play Oregon State on Saturday. But, of course, Oregon State had their game canceled yesterday due to COVID protocol as well. So we'll keep you up to date. We'll let you know what happens. We, though, do continue our conversation with Dana Altman because, well, he had a lot of good things to say when we spoke with him this morning.
I want to go inside and talk about protecting the rim. We've seen some flashes from some of the big guys like Dante, Frank Kepnong, and then Nate Biddle getting a few blocks for you as well. Just the development of some of your big guys inside. What do you like? What do you see so far?
Well, Dante's starting to get in better shape. That's going to help him. Frank has always played with tremendous energy. We just got to improve his positioning some. And Nate, he gave us a big lift against Pepperdine. Came in, had a couple good minutes, against Utah. And he's a freshman. He made some mistakes, but then he tried to make it up with a couple nice blocks. So, in Nate, it's just a matter of getting in practice and really getting after it and getting that consistency. And, if he does that, no one's ever questioned his ability. He's a talented young man. He's got to bring it every day and get it going every day in practice.
Coach, I want to go bigger picture with you for a second and do a little basketball 101. Take us to basketball school if you could, because you mentioned Jacob Young getting better playing off into the ball, Coach. I've had some fans ask me, what exactly is Coach talking about when he says off into the ball? And so rather than me try to explain it, I figured I'd just ask the expert. What are you coaching guys up on when you're saying off into the ball?
Well, when the ball goes to one side of the floor, you can't get hugged up on the weak side. And, when you're playing a man-to-man defense, the tendency is, I want to stay close to my man and guard the heck out of my man. But, it's not an individualized game. And when that ball goes to the left or the right side of the floor, you got to get off into the ball. And it takes away driving lanes. It takes away passing lanes. If people are skipping the ball from one side of the floor to the other, then we're in good position. If they're just making, one-to-one passes, the next guy real easily, then we're not off into the ball enough. And so you'll know we're off into the ball. Our big guys are off into the ball enough if they try throwing over the top. And if they throw it side to side, then we're off into the ball enough because they got to skip it. So, you haven't seen many skip passes this year, and you haven't seen many people try to throw over us, which I keep telling our guys, that's an indication that we're way too hugged up on our guys and got to get off into the ball a lot more.
How much of that is also then the communication, Coach, when guys do make a decision on when they're playing off like that? How much of it is communication on defense that you're still looking for?
Oh, a bunch of it, because now closeouts, become important when we're in our matchup zone. Who's going to get the next guy? It's important. So, no, the communication, it starts with playing hard, Joey. And if you don't play hard, the fundamentals don't matter anyway. But if you get them playing hard, then, getting them in the right position, getting them to communicate. If you play hard and don't communicate, it doesn't work. If you're talking all the time, but you're not playing hard, it doesn't work. You got to have the two in combination. And we've had some really good defensive teams, and the teams that did were the Dylan Brooks teams, Jordan Bell, Dylan Ennis. Those guys all talked consistently. I mean, those were three of the best talkers that we had defensively, and then they played so hard. And that's why our defenses were ranked so high. And we had our best teams because of their communication and the fact that they did play so hard. And, they've carried that over. I don't know if there's a harder playing defender in the NBA right now than Dylan Brooks. I mean, he plays his tail off, and Jordan's always been good. Dylan Ennis still playing overseas. Those guys and Chris Boucher, we had really talented players, don't get me wrong, but they were connected. They talked, they put the defense together. We were connected.
You still catch as many NBA games as you can, Coach, especially now with so many pro ducks around. It's like you could turn on a game, and chances are you're going to see one of your former players these days.
Well, it's a little hard to catch them all, but I do follow their box scores every day. I start the morning now, check and see how they did the previous night, and just it's exciting to follow them. You spend so much time with those guys when they're here. Our sport's a little different than some of the other sports. We have a 6-month season, and I'm with the guys. Our coaches are with the guys every day. When you have 15, 16 guys out there, you touch each one of them every day. So it's not like having a big track team where you might not have a conversation with all of them every day, or 100 football players, or 25 baseball players. It's just a different sport. And so you spend a lot of time with the guys, and just great to watch them go on, and we have guys checking the overseas guys' stats to see how Tyler and Dylan and Elgin and some of our guys overseas are doing, just to keep tabs on them.
That's awesome. Lastly, Coach, just Pac-12, it's the first time that we're talking to you on the Coaches Show, so I usually like to ask you just kind of your thoughts on the entire Pac-12 conference. What do you make of the league so far after the start and the early games that have been played in this league?
Well, 3 teams have kind of separated themselves, and the rest of us are trying to catch them. USC, Arizona, UCLA have really separated themselves from the rest of the league. Both in the power rankings and record-wise. And if you look at those teams, they're the 3 teams with the most guys back. And so I don't think it's any surprise that, they're up there. We should be up there further. We have not come anywhere close to what we should be. Our staff knows that. Our players know that. And so, like I said, it's 10 weeks here where we're just going to try to catch those 3 schools and see what we can do.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, I know it's been a mentally challenging 24 hours and really mentally challenging couple years for all of us, and particularly in sports. So thanks for taking the time to join us. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
No problem, Joey. We'll talk to you later.
Coach Altman with us. First tip-off Tuesday of the year, and now we're going to transition over to Kelly Graves and hear from the big guy.
The big guy.
That's right.
The big kahuna.
Does
kahuna mean guy? I don't know.
Jovan Catron did say that Rob Mullins today is Big Rob.
Big Rob.
Yeah, so it works.
Okay.
I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Coming up next, Kelly Graves. That's right. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has been the credit union serving the University of Oregon community. From the bright yellow Duck debit card to the Duck Visa Rewards card. If you're a duck, you belong at OCCU, where you'll find fewer fees, higher savings rates, and lower rates on loans, and lots of fellow Duck fans. Go Ducks. Join OCCU. Learn more at myoccu.org/Go Ducks.
Ready to get back in the game? Great news. The movement experts at Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists can help you find relief and results and keep you off the sidelines. With 15 convenient locations across Portland, contact Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists today at proactivepts.com to see a physical therapist. Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists, a proud partner of Oregon Athletics and trusted choice for keeping Duck fans in the game.
This is Tip Off Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, everybody. Terry Jonz, Joey Mack, and it's Tip-Off Tuesday as we turn to women's basketball. And here's our chat with Kelly Graves, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Here's the big guy. Well, Coach, 7-4 coming into the weekend, heading to the Bay Area. How do you feel about your team? It's been kind of chaotic here as of late with the postponements and cancellation.
Yeah, it's been difficult to navigate the entire first half of the season, so to speak, the non-conference portion. Just with players in and out and, some COVID and some other injuries and health issues and, already cancellations. It's kind of been an odd, first couple of months of the season. It really has. But I liked kind of some of the things that we did yesterday, in our game against Carroll and, just at least get some of those players back, get their feet wet, get them playing together. It looked a little disjointed at times, but that was, I think, just the main positive that came from it.
And we've talked about yesterday in the pregame show that when everybody gets back, it's not just going to be a fine-tuned machine right away. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, you just don't flip a switch, and it will. It'll take some time to get some synergy. So we're a little behind in that regard. But I'm hoping that by February, we're really kind of running at at our full pace and that everybody is in sync. But it will take a little bit of time. But up until now, honestly, the four teams that we've lost to are all NCAA tournament teams. Kansas State just beat Baylor.
Yep.
For the first time, I think, in like 39 tries. So, that's a good team. We lost to a good team on the road. UC Davis is the one game where I really felt we got outplayed, we got outworked. That was when we were at our worst. But the two losses in the Islands weren't bad losses. And then we got a good win there, too. So, we've kind of had a mixed bag up until now. But now we've got to really show our mettle. We've got to show that we're one of the better teams in the country and one of the better teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah, you're trying to build your chemistry that you would normally be doing in November with a healthy roster, but you're going against teams that have already played 2 months with most of them relatively healthy.
Yeah, so we're a little behind in that regard, but in a normal year, we'd be really behind. But with COVID and everything else, a lot of teams, every time I look at a score now, I look at who wasn't playing for this team. And so everybody's kind of taking a hit. We can't use that as an excuse. But it will take us some time to get going. But I think both Tahina and Niara certainly showed what they're capable of doing yesterday in a short period of time. We could only play them 12 minutes. They both played 12 minutes, and were pretty productive in those 12 minutes.
Back to just the cancellations or the postponements for a moment. 5 Pac-12 games a year ago, because you played a 22-game schedule, 10-7 in the conference. And it appeared there was no effort to make up on the women's side to even make up those games, except at the Pac-12 tournament, if you wanted to schedule it yourselves between the coaches, it sounded like, but to make something up, which I don't know at that point how meaningful they were. But why is that, and what do you want to see?
Well, I want to see the Pac-12 do everything that they can to get these games made up. I think we deserve to play Colorado and Utah at home. I mean, our fans deserve that. We're one of the few programs in the conference who draw support. Maybe that was part of it. Well, we're not drawing the fans anyway, and maybe it's a so-called money loser. That's baloney, and they need to do the best job that they can to make these up. Last year, it was funny. They had everybody, they'd scheduled it so everybody could play their travel partner the last week of the season and make up extra games during that week. None were made up. And then they also gave everybody at the tournament the option of making up games. So once your team was eliminated from the tournament, they would schedule you other games down in Las Vegas to make some up. And none were made up. And that was actually a coach's choice. I think at that point, every school other than Colorado, they were the only ones kind of on the NCAA bubble that could have used extra games. Everybody else was either in or either out. And so I think most teams, like we did, we chose not to play an extra game because we knew we were probably in the field and weren't going to really better our position or worsen our position. So we just opted out.
So the conference, George Kleofkoff, I know you had a chance when he was making campus visits to meet with him, and he seems like a pretty sharp guy. He likes women's basketball, for one thing. Was involved with the Aces down in Vegas. But what are your thoughts?
Oh, very impressive, and I love what he's done already with the conference. He's shaken some things up, and I think the conference is in a much better place than it was a year ago. But yeah, let's see if they're going to put their money where their mouth is and get these games replayed. I feel really badly about I got the call from both Utah and Colorado. I think on Wednesday, maybe it was Thursday, within an hour of each other. Saying, hey, we don't have enough players. We're not going to be able to make the trip. Interesting, I called JR the next day because she herself got COVID. And I called her just to make sure she was doing okay. And she was in her car with her daughters on their way to Denver. They were evacuated. She lived in the neighborhood that was evacuated by the fire. So I'm going, oh, my goodness. So not only does she have COVID, not only does her team just get her games canceled, she's in a car going to Denver because they've been evacuated. But she did not lose her home, thank God. But we feel bad for those that did. And it's a crazy time right now. And it continues.
Do what you're supposed to do, right?
Yes.
We have our masks on. We don't want to, but it's what we need to do. And try and contain this as best we can and keep playing games. Everybody stay healthy as best we can. One thing I want to talk about the Carroll game, too, is since Sabrina, was Sabrina and Ruthie, the pick and roll, Stockton and Malone, you've compared it to that in the women's game, probably as good as you've seen. And I noticed Endyia Rogers yesterday, a couple of pick and rolls where she looks like she's done it before.
Yeah, she's got a real knack for it. It's something that you have to develop a little bit, but it's also something that you just kind of get and understand. And we've been fortunate to see the best of all time do it. But yeah, India's got a really nice sense about it. And I think the main thing is she can finish. So if the defense, is a little behind the action, so to speak, she can also finish, and that's what makes her really special in it. And yeah, it was nice to see her have some synergy. Actually, we had 3 or 4 of them yesterday that looked pretty good. So I think just having those players out there makes everybody else better. not just that we have better players on the court, but they're making others better. So that was good to see.
And having Endyia out there, Endyia Rogers, of course, you miss her toughness and, just her athleticism, all that she does. Yeah. But saw the high-low action again with Sedona and her, and you can see how lethal that is. Nice to see.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they misfired a couple of times, but they made the right decision. It was just not executed that well. Yeah, I think, Endyia down low is a load. She's hard to guard one-on-one, and, and Sedona has a nice feel and a nice touch out on in the high post. So we'll see more of that as they get more and more comfortable with each other.
That 30 and 11, 30 points, 11 rebounds that Endyia put on Oklahoma. That was an incredible performance. With this game of guards and wings, kind of 3-pointers or lay-ins, and to see a post do what she did, a lot of it facing up at the free throw line, and they couldn't handle her. And they had some decent post players, but she's just incredible, her athleticism, her talent.
Yeah, she is. And, we talk about playmakers. That's the thing we've missed. Tahina, Endyia, and Endyia are our three playmakers. At any point, you can get the ball to Endyia, and she's going to make a play. She can get herself a shot or a shot for somebody else, right? Same with Tahina, same with Endyia. And those are really our three. Everybody else kind of has to do it in a manufactured way. We have to use a screen. And so we miss that playmaking ability. And you're right, Endyia, at any point, we can isolate her at the high post. She can turn square up on anybody, and she's strong enough to get by you. I mean, those players from Oklahoma, which, by the way, that's going to end up being a great win. That's a win that's going to earn you an extra seed line. She was able to just go by any of their quick posts and then go up and over any of the smaller ones. So she's a pretty talented player.
Right at this point here is getting ready to head to the Bay Area. What do you want your team to look like? What's missing? What do you want them to improve on? And what do you like?
Well, our defense was atrocious yesterday, to be honest with you. We didn't defend the three-point line well at all, and give Carroll credit. They made 10 of 21. We've just got to connect defensively. I think we've been pretty good, but we were not good, and it looks like we're a little bit out of shape. And so I think this weekend, that part will take care of itself. We'll be in better shape, but I think just our connectedness defensively, we've just got to get better there. We're not capable really of being an elite defensive team. We just don't have really the athleticism for that, but we can be a very sound defensive team. So that's what I would like to see us guard better this weekend. And, we haven't shot well in a couple games. Our shooting numbers, by and large, on the season are excellent. But in the last couple games, we haven't shot it well, especially from the three-point line.
Is this a team that has to be, as you mentioned, better defensively, but has to dig in on that area more? Because, the offense can be very good. But I don't know whether it's, and I hate to compare back to Sabrina Ruthie and all that, but 86 points a game from them their senior year. But do they need to be better defensively because the offense isn't going to quite be at that level? Or am I saying it right?
Yeah, well, we just don't have the same margin for error.
Yeah.
It's a little thinner. So, we've just got to be better at both ends of the floor and close to our maximum potential to beat the really good teams. We're certainly capable of that. I think defensively, though, if you look at our defensive numbers, our field goal percentage defense, 33 point whatever, is I think we're 1/10 away from being the best in the conference, and we're among the best in the country. Teams are only shooting, going into last game from the three-point line, about 25-26% against us, so those numbers are good. Our rebounding numbers need to get a little bit better. We could do a better job there, being more consistent on the offensive glass and just do a better job of blocking out. But by and large, our defensive numbers have been pretty good. We've just had a couple of games that we've just really let ourselves down.
Yeah, and you mentioned rebounding. Stanford on Friday in Palo Alto, perennially a good rebounding team. They do a lot of things very, very well, the defending national champions, and you get number 2 down on their floor. Now, Cameron Brink and Brechtel didn't play yesterday at a 40-point win in Pullman, but what do you need to do? What do you need to see? And how many minutes are you going to be able to play players against them?
Yeah, well, we'll be restricted there still. So, we just have to play well. We have to take care of the ball. We have to get good shots each and every time down. You're going to have some nights when you just don't shoot that well. The one thing that Stanford does, they don't beat themselves. Right. You know, they're going to play solid. They're going to space the floor. They're not going to wow you with their athleticism outside of maybe Fran Bellevue, who's playing above the rim. Cameron Brink too, but by and large, it's not a team that's just super quick but they just know how to play, and they're well coached, obviously. And we played them well last year, both games. Played them to single digits, had one possession here at home. So, we're just going to have to play well in pretty much every phase because, like I said, they don't beat themselves.
All right, Coach, we're out of time here. Then Cal on Sunday at 1 o'clock, by the way. 7 o'clock against Stanford on Friday. All right, Coach, thanks.
My pleasure. It's good to be back in the studio with everybody. Everybody looks pretty good. They've aged well. I know we didn't have this last year, so it's been a couple of years. They've aged very well.
I don't know how to take that.
He's you just can't just end an interview with him. He's fun. All right, Kelly Graves here, brought to you by Toyota. Coming up next, Endyia Rogers. We'll get to know her next on Tip-Off Tuesday. After this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
One of Marvel's greatest and most complex characters is back. Rent Venom, Let There Be Carnage, starring Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson. Now available at Redbox. Eddie Brock, still struggling to coexist with shapeshifter Venom, is in search of his next big story. He lands an exclusive interview with death row inmate Cletus Cassidy and becomes the host for Carnage, a menacing symbiote. Eddie and Venom must get past their contentious relationship and work together to defeat Carnage. Watch Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
You're listening to Tip Off Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
These are the sounds of a dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Tip-Off Tuesday. Terry Jonz, Joey Mack, and always try and get a player each week. And this week it's Endyia Rogers. Let's get to know Endyia. Okay, Endyia, first of all, you transferred here from USC, and you don't need to say why you wanted to leave, but how hard of a decision was that to, you settled into USC for 2 years and then to leave? It must have been a tough decision to decide I want to transfer.
So when I'm making my decision, I knew that I wanted to stay Pac-12, great conference, great coaches, great players, all those good things. And then I didn't really want to move my stuff across the country again. But I knew that I wanted to stay in the Pac-12. And it's crazy because I kind of had a feeling of who would reach out to me from the Pac-12. And when every time we would travel to Arizona, I would always be like, man, like I could play here. I could play for this coach. I would do all that. But once it was decision time, I felt like Oregon was a place for me. So
what stood out about Oregon?
Kelly is like, he won at Gonzaga. He comes here, he wins here. So, I mean, it's clear that he knows what he's doing. I think it was just, I was kind of, I don't want to say amazed, but there was like a lot of stuff being said about Oregon, and I was like, I beg to differ.
You saw it firsthand.
Yeah, because it was just different, because when I would come down, we came down here at USC to play them, I told myself I could never play. I couldn't play here because it's just, the town just looked a little, it was because I'm from a city and I played in a city of LA. So it was just a little different. But once I got around and they showed me around, I was like, oh, it's not that bad how people were saying it was. So I was kind of a little shocked at what I saw when I got here. And then Kelly, he's just a big guy. He's the big guy. He's fun.
And KG's put some pretty good guards in the league, hasn't he? He kind of knows what to do with guards. And other players too, but guards.
Yeah, he has. Vandersloot, Sabrina.
Yeah, Maite has played in the league too.
Yeah, I remember actually kind of watching her play too. Yeah, he has. He has put some pretty good guards in the league.
What have you learned from, because you were there when Sabrina was a senior? Did you learn some things playing against her?
I can't even tell you. I don't even remember playing against her. But I kind of do remember watching her. It's like she doesn't let the game get bigger than her. Yeah. That makes sense. She's very patient. She, no matter what, she's going to stay here. She's not going to get too high or too low. She played her role very well. You could tell. She was just all around good. I mean, you saw she was a triple-double. I mean, yeah, it was a triple-double leader. She just did everything the right way.
Yeah.
She never was too high, too low. Everybody knew, the Sabrina they would get. Maybe she wouldn't have a good shooting night, but she's going to assist and rebound.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've seen opposing coaches say that she makes you play at her speed.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty good example of who she is, of what way she does play.
Yeah, she never let the game get bigger than her. They could probably send 3 at her and she would still be, she'd still get a great possession.
You're from Dallas, Texas. Tell us about your family that's back in Dallas.
Well, I have 2 younger brothers. One just turned 19 today, actually. I have a 5-year-old brother. My dad trained me. My mom, both of them, my dad and mom went to high school and college together. My mom, she was a track athlete, but she just played basketball on the side, Mm-hmm. But my dad was the basketball star. So he was the one who trained me and my brother.
When did you start playing basketball? What age? You remember?
Apparently I was dribbling the ball at 11 months, but I actually started playing at probably 3 or 4. And they would always say I was extra serious. I would if I got subbed out the game, I would yell at my dad when he shoved me out the game. Put me back in the game. What are you doing? But yeah, I used to be pretty serious when I was younger. I mean, I'm serious now, but it's when you're young, you just anxious a little.
Yeah. Did you play any other sports?
I played volleyball in middle school. I played volleyball in middle school. And I was actually good. I was the setter and the libero for the team. So yeah, if I didn't play basketball, I would have been playing volleyball.
Yeah, there's some good volleyball in the Pac-12 too, isn't there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What it was from Dallas? I'm curious. Let's see what food in Dallas. What Tex-Mex? There's a barbecue, or you go with something else. What's your favorite?
So it just depends on what you like to eat. I'm a big seafood person. So there's a lot of boiled seafood around that's really good.
All right, let's come back here to Oregon now. Playing with the Ducks, you guys have been injured. You were one. And I don't know if you've ever been injured before to miss games, had you?
I haven't been. Actually, when I was at USC, I sprained my ankle, and then ever since that one game in the beginning of Pac-12, that ankle just never got right. So I ended up playing with a bone bruise or bone contusion my whole freshman season, bone contusion. I would have cramps all the way up my calf. My ankle would be throbbing after the games, or anytime like I sat down, like I go pound, 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 pound. Anytime I sat down, throbbing. But I was the tough guy, and I still got out there and played because I didn't care about a bone contusion as long as it wasn't broke. But when I came here, I would always say, like, yeah, I've never been injured. And I had to miss games. Never. So it was kind of shocking that I had to miss that many games for a finger. But when I realized, like, I couldn't move and it was pain up my arm, I was like,
that's different.
I don't know what, I was like, because it wasn't even my finger. I realized it wasn't even my finger. I just couldn't move it. So, yeah, it was a different experience. I have never been like this big shit. I've never cheered on the bench so hard until I got here. I never used to even know how to cheer on the bench when I was in high school.
You came back. Kansas State had a great game, had a good game last night, yesterday afternoon. And then now Tahina getting back. Niara, limited minutes for them still. And it's going to be tough to go against Stanford. You wish you had them for, 2025, but it's not going to be that way. But you can see what this team can be, aren't you?
I can. Like I said once before, I was just talking about this earlier. When everybody was healthy, we were good. At first, we were all in shape. We were in sync. It was like that first exhibition game, even though we kind of blew the team out. It was fun. Like, we at least knew what we were doing, who could do what. But now it's just it's hard, man.
Yeah.
Hard because clearly T and Endyia are on limited minutes, and then it's just trying to get the chemistry back and get into the swing of things. So it'll probably be a couple more games, couple more practices until we really, really get it. Because we were before this season started, we were a different team. We were a totally different team. It was crazy. We were a good team. So now we're just trying to get back into the swing of things. It's not all that easy because NDT and Endyia, but it's not easy. But we're trying. Yeah,
the chemistry will come. It was there before, and it'll be back.
It kind of feels like we're back in preseason all over again because we're all of us are trying to get in shape, and then we have to build the chemistry. It just kind of feels like we're in preseason all over again, which isn't a bad thing. But we just have to work. It sucks that it happened at this time, but.
Yep. Well, Endy, that's all the time I got for you. But hey, thanks for letting us get to know you a little bit.
Thank you. See you guys next time.
There you go, Endyia Rogers. Great young woman, great player, fierce competitor, very nice off the court, no doubt.
Glad that she's on the Oregon roster.
Yes.
Hey, safe trip down to Bay Area, huh?
Thank you. And
Corvallis,
do something.
That's the plan.
Okay.
All right. Men's basketball, they're going to still practice with who's available and then getting ready for Oregon State, still on the schedule on Saturday. All the details, we'll keep you up to date. First tip-off Tuesday in the books. See you next week.
Once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has been the credit union serving the University of Oregon community. From the bright yellow Duck debit card to the Duck Visa Rewards card. If you're a duck, you belong at OCCU, where you'll find fewer fees, higher savings rates, and lower rates on loans, and lots of fellow Duck fans. Go Ducks. Join OCCU. Learn more at myoccu.org/GoDucks.